Good evening, and welcome to Soul Conversations TV. I'm glad you are here, safe and warm. Tonight, we will go slowly together, breath by breath, word by gentle word, until your shoulders loosen and your mind becomes soft and quiet. Take a kind breath in through your nose, hold, and let it pour out like warm light. Again, in, pause, and out, longer than before. If it helps, place a hand on your heart and notice its steady rhythm. Nothing to fix, nothing to prove. Only a soft story, told slowly, for you. Tonight, our story carries us to an old university town, a place of cobblestone steps, lanterns that glow like fireflies at dusk, and a hilltop building the townspeople call the Lumen Archives. The Lumen Archives is a library older than the trees outside its door. Stone walls 2 meters thick keep a deep, quiet, cool inside. Cool enough that you can smell paper and ink the moment you enter. A fragrance like autumn and rain. By day, guides lead visitors along a pathway of velvet lines, more burgundy than red, so the guests do not drift too close to the shelves. Faces tilt up to painted ceilings, the kind where angels and skies have been brushed into wood that is carved and gilded. The tables are wide and old, their polished surfaces covered each night with cloths to guard against dust. Every morning the caretakers remove those cloths, tapping them gently, folding, smoothing, preparing the great room for another day of reverent footsteps and low voices. And yet, when the doors close at evening and the last echo of shoes fades down the stairs, a different life unfurls beneath the arches. This is the hour of the small guardians. This is the hour of Nilo. Nilo is no bigger than a small pear when he curls himself tight. His fur the color of cinnamon bark, his ears fine as petals, his heart beating quick and light, tick, 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 like a silver watch during sunlit hours. He and his family sleep in hidden recesses, soft hollows between old beams, snug pockets behind a row of forgotten atlases, a narrow space above the highest moulding where warm air gathers. If you could see what Nilo sees, though he keeps his eyes closed in day sleep, you would notice tiny threads of light slipping through shutters, laying pale stripes along the upper walls. You would notice the caretakers moving like gentle clock hands across the room. You would notice the guests guided along the velvet lines, heads turning, breath catching, hands folded to keep themselves from reaching toward the gold leaf titles. The guides speak about history, dates, the vision of a queen, the patience of builders, the science of preserving paper against mold and mites. Some guests nod, some whisper. One child always looks everywhere at once, up, then down, then toward the dark corners where the air feels secret. The child tilts their head as if listening, But even that, careful, the listening cannot hear the soft conversation of sleepers above the beams, the tiny, contented cheer that means, I am here, I am safe, I am home. Nilo does not understand lectures or plaques, or the careful numbers written on a climate monitor that blinks green in the custodian's hand. What he knows are scents and spaces, the spiced sweetness of leather bindings, the quiet starch of linen thread, a dry whisper of dust when a window opens, the bright mineral cool when evening rain begins. He knows shelves by fragrance, the way some know streets by name. Turn at the oak atlas with the cracked spine, glide above the case that smells of nutmeg and varnish. Settle in the nook behind the astronomy volumes, where the air holds a faint, tin-like echo of the ladder rails. Now, let your breath slow again, in and out, like a small tide upon a friendly shore. Let your jaw loosen, let your brow smooth. If a thought arrives, you can greet it and then watch it drift, as if it were a page turned by a soft breeze. When dusk deepens, the Lumen Archives exhales. The caretakers draw the heavy doors together wood, so old it has learned to sing, low and musical. As it closes, the last latch falls into place. Silence, and then the gentle stir of waking. One by one, Nilo's family unfolds themselves, threading beams and rafters like moving commas in the cool air. Nilo blinks. He loosens his tiny fingers. He stretches until his wings make the softest silk sound, like a ribbon pulled from a spool. He tests the room with a call too high for human hearing, a bright ping that touches wood, books, ceiling, air, and returns to him as shape, distance, map. The library answers, here I am. I am wide and steady and yours. They begin their work in low arcs and careful sweeps, not rushed, not frantic, a practice passed down for many bat lives, keeping the pages safe by keeping tiny paper lovers at bay. Tonight, the hunting air is sweet and still. Nilo drifts a meter above the floor, then rises, then circles, patient, content. The family fans out with choreographed ease, as if they had practiced under a benevolent conductor no one can see. Under the painted heavens of the ceiling, Nilo turns, dips, rises, every movement measured and clean. He does not care for grand pianos, or mezzanines, or the secret doors hidden in faux marble arches. He knows the seam where two beams meet, the warm seam where his mother once tucked him when thunder shook the window panes, the seam where lamplight from the street sneaks in to make a thin gold path across a shelf of sermons that no one opens anymore. If a human stood below and could somehow see the air the way Nilo feels it, they might notice glimmering trails, soft currents, like brush strokes marking where he has been. They would see his comfort in the work, the quiet pride of a keeper who knows the job is simple and good. Fly, listen, turn, and fly again. And though many people have tried clever machines and modern methods, the librarians of this town long ago learned a small truth. There is nothing quite so kind to a book as a guardian who loves the night. The library has kept space in its doors and windows thin, careful gaps only the small guardians use, so Nilo and his kin can move as they must, pass as they please, and return before dawn to their careful dreams. Pause with me. In and out. Let your shoulders sink a little deeper into the bed. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly on time. Sometimes a grey sky presses low over the town. Rain stitches the windows. The kind of weather that makes people talk in hushed voices and walk closer together beneath a single umbrella. On such evenings, a few visitors remain longer than usual, craning their necks toward a curve of ceiling, pausing near a shelf where the air feels almost warm with listening. They do not know what they are waiting for. Perhaps they are waiting for proof that care and patience live here after the doors are shut. And though they cannot hear the thread-fine music of Nilo's waking, they sense something gentle in the room, like the feeling you have when a friend you trust is sitting beside you, quietly, not asking anything, simply keeping you company. The visitors smile without meaning to. They run a fingertip along the edge of a guide map. Then they tip their faces toward the last light and make their way out into the rain. When the town settles and kitchen lamps go dark one by one, and the river below the hill becomes a silver ribbon under the moon, Nilo's family sometimes slips through those careful gaps and glides into the open night. The city beyond the doors is called Valoria. Its roofs wear terracotta like warm hats. Its narrow streets curve the way old stories do, slowly, on purpose, toward a good ending. Off to the east, the Seren River moves with the same patience as a lullaby, carrying the day away and bringing the night back clean. But that is for later. For now, the Lumen Archives hums like a seashell cupped to your ear. Nilo turns and turns again, the work easing him, the way knitting eases hands that love the quiet. His world is small and complete. Beam, shelf, aisle, arch, breath, call, return. The room answers every time. Here I am, here you are, all is well. Let your breath follow Nilo's calm rhythm. In, a little pause, and out, longer, softer, if you wish. Imagine that warm, book-scented air. Imagine the safe hush between shelves. Imagine a small guardian drawing a circle in the sky, and another, until even your thoughts grow drowsy. You are safe here. You are welcome here. The story will keep watch while you rest. Before we continue, allow yourself a few slow breaths, the kind that feel like a blanket being gently pulled up to your chin. In through your nose, pause, and sigh the air out, as if releasing a long day. Let your ribs soften, let your hands grow still, and know that you do not need to hold anything right now. This moment is only for rest and gentle imagining. Night had begun to settle fully over the town of Veloria. Outside the high-arched windows of the Lumen archives, the first stars appeared soft and scattered, like grains of silver salt upon ink-blue cloth. The air carried the faint scent of rain that had passed earlier, leaving rooftops glistening like polished stone. Inside, the great library felt even more hushed than usual, wrapped in the kind of silence that comes not from emptiness, but from presence. The presence of stories, of memories held in paper, and of small guardians waking into their night. Nilo had finished his first slow loops of the main hall. His wings were warm, his little heart steady. Near the tallest shelf, he paused mid-air, letting a gentle draught lift him like a leaf. He listened, not with ears the way humans do, but with tiny pulses of sound, quiet as a fingertip tapping glass. The room answered. It always did. It told him where the tables stood, where a ladder leaned from earlier in the day, where his cousins spun soft arcs near the mezzanine rail. Tonight felt peaceful, balanced, like a lullaby about to be sung, far below on the deep wood floor. Moonlight had begun to collect in puddles of silver through the old windows, so old that the glass rippled slightly. Beams of nightlight slid across the red velvet walkway, turning it a gentle violet in places. To Nilo, the moonlight meant two things. The work was beginning, and the outside world was waiting. You might imagine that a library is a quiet place at night, and it is, but it is not empty of life. Wooden shelves shift ever so slightly as they breathe with changes in temperature. Pages whisper as the night air settles. The portraits of scholars and monarchs seem to watch over the room with patient eyes, as if guarding knowledge until morning returns. And between all of that stillness, the bats moved soft as commas, punctuating the quiet with life. There was a moment each night that Nilo loved most. It happened after the first sweep of the shelves, after the quick evening feast of tiny insects, after the stretch of wings and testing of echoes. It was the moment the air changed, when the last traces of daytime energy faded, and the night claimed the room fully. If Nilo could speak human language, he might have said it was when the library remembered itself, when it became not a place for visitors, but a sanctuary of stories under the care of its nighttime keepers. His family felt it too. One by one, their flight slowed. Arcs became glides. Flutters became gentle drifts. The pace softened, as if the library's heartbeat had found a calm, sleepy rhythm and invited them to match it. Let your breath match it too. In, slow and out, like a feather landing. Notice how your shoulders melt just a little more. You're doing beautifully. You are allowed to rest. On nights like this, when everything inside the Lumen archives felt settled, Nilo would sometimes perch for a moment on the curved top of a carved column. From there, he could see almost the entire room. The long tables covered for the night, the sweeping ceiling painted with constellations, the grand wooden doors with their narrow, secret gaps, and the rows of shelves that had watched centuries pass. He closed his eyes, not to sleep, but to feel. A low vibration of comfort pulsed through the air. It felt like belonging, like being held, but something tugged gently at him tonight. Not fear, not danger, just a pull, a curiosity. Nilo opened his eyes and tilted his head toward the far windows. Beyond them, the night city shimmered. Lamps glowed along cobblestone streets. A bakery still had light in its window. And if Nilo had a nose for human scents, he might have smelled the last loaves cooling on racks. Beyond the rooftops, the Seren River beckoned. Its calm surface mirrored the sky, as if inviting the stars to rest upon it. Tonight, the outside called just a little louder. He cheered a soft note, checking if his siblings felt the same. Two answered, sleepy but willing. They circled near him, wings brushing the air like soft strokes of paint. The family rarely left before midnight, but the evening felt fresh and kind. A little sip of river water would be just right. In a smooth glide, Nilo swept toward the nearest window. A narrow opening rested at its base, crafted long ago, intentionally, for bats like him. He slipped through effortlessly, like a drop of ink sliding between pages. The night air outside greeted him cool and open and full of space. He blinked at the expanse. Inside the library, his world was cozy. Outside, it felt endless. Behind him, the Lumen archives glowed softly from within, like a lantern of knowledge watching over the hill. Ahead of him, Valoria waited calm streets, hushed rooftops, and the Seren River sighing under the moon. Nilo beat his wings once, twice, and then he soared forward into the night. The city was gentle at this hour. Windows shimmered with the last golden halos of evening lamps. People strolled slowly home, wrapped in scarves, their conversations soft enough to float upward in tiny threads of sound. No one noticed the three small shapes gliding overhead, and that was just as it should be. Before we follow Nilo further, take one more slow breath. Let it travel down your spine and back up again like a quiet tide. You are safe. You are unwinding. There is nowhere you need to be except here, in this soft moment, listening to a gentle night unfold. If your body has shifted, settle again into a soft, comfortable position. Let your pillow hold the weight of your head. Let the mattress support every curve that needs supporting. And with a slow exhale, Imagine releasing the last bit of effort still lingering inside you. Tonight, we continue following Nilo as he leaves the safe glow of the Lumin archives and glides deeper into the gentle night above Valoria. Outside, the air wrapped around Nilo like cool silk. His wings moved easily, as though the night itself carried him. Below, the cobblestone streets curled through the city like winding ribbons, reflecting moonlight in uneven silver patches, just enough to guide late walkers home. The rooftops of Valoria, stacked in soft shapes beneath him, tiled in shades of warm terracotta and amber. Chimneys rose like short towers, some still whispering faint trails of smoke that smelled of wood and warmth. A cat stretched along a windowsill, blinking slow, contented eyes at the quiet world. Nilo wasn't looking for anything in particular, and yet the city felt different tonight, as if it wanted to share a secret with him. His siblings flew close enough that their wings brushed the same currents of air. 3 tiny guardians exploring the night beyond their home. They dipped low, then rose high in gentle arcs, never rushing, always gliding. Below them, a sleepy baker stepped out the back door of his shop, apron dusted with flour. He stretched, rubbed his neck, and smiled at the night. He never saw the small shadows gliding overhead, but if he had, perhaps he would have felt grateful, without knowing why grateful, for the watchers of words and the keepers of stories. Because even though people rarely remembered to look up, someone or something was always watching over the little town. Far ahead, the Seren River waited calm and shining. Nilo cheered softly, and his siblings answered, adjusting their wings to follow the river's pull. The closer they flew, the more the air changed. A cool mist rose from the water's surface, carrying the scent of moss and gentle current. Lanterns lined the stone path along the riverbank, casting soft reflections that trembled with the movement of the water. The glow made the river look like a pathway made of stars fallen from the sky to guide nighttime wanderers. Nilo slowed his wings and hovered, letting the cool mist brush his face. It was refreshing in a way that felt like taking a long, deep sip of stillness. He dipped lower, skimming just above the surface. The river mirrored his shape, tiny, winged, curled ears, a small silhouette intersecting moonlight and water. For a moment, his reflection and the sky seemed to blur, like he was flying through the stars, not under them. His siblings landed first, near a cluster of reeds, where the water was calmest. They perched on a branch just above the surface, leaning forward to drink. Bats drink differently than humans might expect. They swoop low, gather water on their fur, then lick it off in tiny sips. Nilo preferred his own way. He glided close enough that his wings skimmed the surface with a whisper, just enough to carry a droplet to his cheek. Then he paused, mid-air, and let the cool bead of river water slide to his mouth. It tasted of night, of stone of ancient stories the river had carried for centuries. For a few quiet moments, the world held still. The river flowed, the lanterns flickered. Somewhere far away, a musician plucked the strings of a nighttime melody, soft, wandering notes that floated across Valoria like drowsy fireflies. Nilo listened, not because he understood music, but because something about the sound soothed a part of him that even he didn't know was tired. Pause with me, in and out, slowly, as if closing a book with care. Notice how the air around you feels a little softer now. Allow your body to sink another inch into rest. When Nilo had quenched his thirst and his siblings had finished their tiny sips, he perched for a moment on a low branch. From here, he could see both worlds. Behind him, the hill where the library stood, lit faintly from within like a watchful guardian. Before him, the river, stretching into the horizon, flanked by trees and memories. He loved both places. Inside the library, he had warmth, familiar scents, the comfort of belonging. Outside, he had the open sky, the thrill of night air, the feeling of being small in a big, breathtaking world. Maybe, he thought, if bats have thoughts the way humans do, maybe life was meant to be a balance of both, of safety and exploration, of resting and wandering, of home and the world beyond home. He cheered a quiet note, a kind of contented sigh, and his siblings echoed it. The three stayed perched just a bit longer, watching the lantern reflections tremble on the water. And if anyone had been walking along the riverbank at that hour, someone who had stayed out just long enough to need a moment of peace, they might have felt a small, inexplicable comfort settle over them. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that brushes the heart like a soft idea. Everything is okay right now, but night is long, and dreams wait for no one, not even tiny guardians. It was time to return. With a gentle stretch, Nilo pushed off the branch, wings catching the air with easy grace. His siblings followed, rising in a slow spiral that carried them above the river, above the mist, above the lantern glow. They turned toward home. From up high, the hill of Valoria looked like a storybook illustration. Inked outlines softened by moonlight, rooftops nestled together as if keeping one another company through the night. The Lumen archives stood at the top, patient as always. Even from here, Nilo could see the faintest thread of light through the old windows, like the library had left, a night lamp glowing for them, waiting. He angled his wings and glided toward it, feeling the familiar pull of home. A quiet promise hummed in the air, the promise of warmth, rest, and safe dreams. And as we follow Nilo back toward the Lumen archives, allow your breath to slow again, like the slow descent of a leaf returning to earth, in and out, soft and steady. You are doing exactly what you are meant to do right now, resting, listening, letting the night cradle you. Before we return to the Lumen archives with Nilo, take a moment to gently settle yourself again. If your hands are resting on your body, allow them to relax a little deeper. If they are by your sides, let your palms soften, fingers naturally curling, as if holding something delicate and warm. Let your next inhale travel all the way to your lower ribs. Pause and release, slowly, like a whisper fading into the night. You are safe here, you are welcome here, and the story continues. Nilo and his siblings glided back toward the hill where the library waited. The flight home was never rushed, even though they knew the way by instinct. They preferred to move slowly, savoring the air, the view, the last stretch of night before returning to the cozy world of shelves and stories. As they approached, the Lumen archives appeared almost dreamlike, a tall silhouette etched against the moonlit sky, its many windows holding gentle patches of silver glow. To anyone standing below, it would simply look like a grand, old building resting in the night. But to Nilo, it felt alive. Not alive in the way creatures breathe and move, but alive the way a heart holds memories and keeps them safe. He circled once above the roof, letting the night air brush his fur. Then he dipped toward one of the familiar narrow openings, left just for the guardians. He slipped through effortlessly, his siblings following close behind. Inside, the air was warmer, soft, book-scented warmth that greeted him like a hug he never had to ask for. The library was exactly as they had left it, still, hushed, waiting. Nilo made a gentle loop near the highest shelves before landing on his favorite beam, a smooth piece of wood warmed over centuries of sun, sturdy and comforting beneath his tiny feet. One by one, the rest of his family returned as well, some perched along carved arches, others nestled into familiar nooks near thick encyclopedias, and a few hovered a moment longer, enjoying the feeling of flight before resting. After nights outside, Nilo always felt a small shift inside him, a quiet joy at returning. There was something reassuring about coming back to the same corners, the same scents, the same quiet sounds of wings settling and tiny voices greeting each other. It was the sound of belonging. Take a soft breath in, as if you're stepping quietly inside that library too, and exhale, like placing a blanket over tired shoulders. Tonight, as the bats settled in, a soft, creaking sound echoed through the hall, not loud or startling, but gentle, like wood stretching after a long day. The tall shelves seemed to sigh. Dust motes floated lazily in the air, catching moonlight like drifting stars. Nilo watched them glow, slowly spinning, settling, like snowflakes that never melted. It was during this calm hour, the hour between wakefulness and restful stillness, that something special often happened. Not every night, not even most nights, just occasionally, when the air and the silence aligned in a certain way. The library offered a kind of magic, not magic with sparkles or spells, but quiet magic, the kind that touches only those who are still enough to notice. Tonight felt like one of those nights. Nilo blinked slowly, his ears tilting as if listening for something he couldn't yet name. Around him, his family perched comfortably, aunties curling their wings, close, siblings cleaning their tiny faces with tiny paws, older bats resting with eyes half shut, already drifting toward a light doze. But Nilo remained awake. Something in the air felt different, as if the library itself wanted to share a secret. He turned his head toward the far end of the room, to the oldest section of the archives. Most humans never realized it, but the far wall was slightly curved, and behind it, a hidden chamber slumbered, a small door designed for humans. Not bats, sat tucked within carved wood that mimicked the shapes of pillars, but above that door, near the ceiling, was a sliver of space, just large enough for a small bat to pass through. Nilo had noticed it before, but never felt drawn to explore it, until tonight. He stretched his wings softly, glanced back at his drowsy family, and lifted off the beam with careful quiet. He did not rush. He moved with the respectful stillness of someone entering a sacred space. The moonlight guided him a thin path of silver across the upper beams, leading to that hidden sliver of space. Reaching it, Nilo hovered, listening with tiny pulses of sound. The space beyond answered with a gentle echo, a small room, mostly still, mostly empty, but holding something warm. Nilo slipped through. Pause here with a breath. In through your nose, hold for a soft heartbeat, and exhale, as if you're following Nilo through that narrow opening. Let your body grow heavier against the bed. Let the muscles behind your eyes soften. You do not need to stay alert. The story will guide you gently. The hidden chamber was dim, but not dark. A single round window sat high in the wall, letting in a spill of moonlight that painted the floor in a pale circle. There were no shelves here, only 3 wooden chairs, a small writing desk, and a cabinet with glass doors. Inside the cabinet sat a stack of old notebooks, their edges worn and yellowed with age. Humans, likely, used this room long ago, perhaps as a place to read in silence, or write letters, or record thoughts they weren't yet ready to share with the world. But now, the room had become something else, a place of stillness, a room that held the echo of every person who had ever paused here to breathe. Nilo felt the warmth he sensed earlier, not heat, but presence. He perched on the back of a chair and listened, not for insects, not for his family, but for the quiet message that lived here. The air hummed soft and low like a memory waking up, and for reasons he couldn't explain, Nilo felt comforted, as if this hidden space held a truth he had always known, but never visited. He closed his eyes. He breathed the scent of paper, wood, and time. A deep calm settled in his tiny chest, not sleep, but something close. The room seemed to whisper, "Rest here a moment." And Nilo did. As you settle for sleep, let the hush of that hidden room wrap around you too. Imagine sitting in a quiet space where the world cannot rush you, where time moves softly and nothing is expected of you. Take a final breath for this chapter, slow, gentle, like laying your thoughts on a soft cushion. The night is kind, and the story is here to keep watch. Before we enter deeper into the hidden chamber with Nilo, give yourself a moment to adjust your body as if you're finding your own quiet corner of comfort. Gently roll your shoulders just a little. Let your jaw soften. Place your tongue lightly against the roof of your mouth and breathe out through your nose or lips with a long, slow exhale. Feel your body sinking a little heavier into its resting place, like settling into a cushioned chair in a peaceful, secret room of your own. Nilo remained perched on the wooden chair, still and attentive. The hidden chamber, though small, seemed filled with a presence that was neither loud nor intrusive, but warm, gentle, like the soft feeling of someone humming an old lullaby in another room. Moonlight continued to spill through the round window, glowing just enough for Nilo to see the outlines of objects around him. The notebooks inside the cabinet seemed to call for notice, not urgently, but patiently, as if they had been waiting for many years for someone with quiet eyes to see them. The air in the chamber held a hush, unlike the library outside. The large hall beyond was peaceful, in a grand, echoing way, but this room's silence felt personal, close, like a whisper kept between friends. Nilo tilted his head. He was not usually curious about human things, chairs, ink, paper, cabinets, but tonight, something about this little room stirred a soft wonder inside him, a wonder that felt safe to follow. He fluttered gently from the chair to the top of the small wooden desk. The wood felt cool beneath his tiny feet and carried a faint, comforting scent, something like cedar mixed with candle wax. There was a single sheet of paper on the desk, left open beneath the moonlight. Time had yellowed it into a warm shade of cream. A few lines of handwriting curled across the page, ink faded and delicate, almost as if the words might float away if someone blew too strongly upon them. Nilo leaned closer. Not to read, he could not read, but to sense. Bats understand the world differently. Humans read with eyes and minds. Nilo read with the soft information carried on air, the scent of the ink, the age of the page, the faint trace of emotion that clung to objects once held with care. And this page held tenderness, like someone had written on it when their heart was full, not heavy, not broken, just full. Let yourself inhale slowly, as if you can catch the faint smell of old ink and candlelight, and exhale gently, as if protecting something delicate from being disturbed. A soft sound stirred behind Nilo, a flutter so light it might have been mistaken for a drifting leaf. He turned, expecting one of his siblings, but instead he saw a silhouette perched upon the top edge of the cabinet door. It was a bat, but not one of his family, slightly larger, with fur a deeper shade of cocoa, and wings lined with fine strokes that shimmered like brushstrokes under moonlight. The newcomer tilted her head, regarding Nilo with calm, curious eyes. She did not speak, not with words, but with a subtle pulse of sound that felt like a greeting. Nilo answered with his own gentle cheer. The stranger moved lightly down to the desk, settling a short distance from him. Her presence did not feel strange or alarming. It felt familiar, as if she belonged to this quiet room, the way Nilo belonged to the beams near the upper shelves. After a moment, she dipped her head toward the notebooks inside the cabinet, as if encouraging him to notice them. Then, with a small stretch of her wings, she fluttered to the round window and perched on its circular ledge. She gazed out into the night, her silhouette framed by moonlight, and remained still, as if keeping watch. Nilo felt no urge to follow her. Instead, he turned his attention back to the notebooks. Something told him that whatever waited inside those pages was meant to be discovered slowly, with care, the same way one savors a bedtime story. He moved closer to the cabinet, the small latch slightly rusted with age. It was not locked. It merely required a nudge, a gentle lift, the kind that would never startle the night. Nilo pressed upward with his tiny shoulder, and the cabinet door opened a few centimeters with a soft sigh, a sound like an exhale that had been waiting for years. Inside, the notebooks sat stacked neatly, their edges uneven, as if they had been written at different times, by different hands, in different seasons of someone's life. Nilo nudged the first one forward. Its cover was simple cloth-bound in a deep forest green, threadbare at the corners. On the front, hand-lettered in gold ink, just one word glimmered under the moonlight: evening. The stranger bat on the windowsill remained still, but Nilo felt her attention shift back to him, not watching, just present. He opened the notebook. The first page held a short entry, just a few lines, though he couldn't read the meaning. The words seemed to rest gently on the page, as if written in a moment of quiet reflection. Not for the world, but for the writer alone. The ink carried a trace of warmth, not sorrow, not excitement, but a soft kind of gratitude. A gratitude for the evening, and for something else Nilo couldn't name. And although he could not understand the words, Nilo understood the feeling. The notebook held peace, as if sensing he had absorbed enough for now. The stranger bat fluttered from the window to the desk again. She landed lightly beside Nilo, her wings folding neatly. For a heartbeat, they simply sat, two small guardians, sharing a quiet moment among old pages and moonlit dust. The stranger dipped her head gently, a gesture that felt like, "This room will welcome you again." Then she lifted off, slipped through the narrow window gap, and disappeared into the night. Nilo watched her go. There was no rush to follow, no urgency to understand everything at once. The room itself seemed to whisper the same message: there is time. Nilo closed the notebook with care and fluttered back to his chair perch. He would return on another night when the moon called him back. Tonight, it was enough just to know that something waited for him here. Something gentle, something worth discovering slowly, the way night unfolds into dreams. Let your breath match that softness now. In and out, slow, steady, safe. Let your own mind place a bookmark in this moment, knowing the story will wait for you too, exactly where you leave it. When you are ready, you may rest, just as the library rests, held in the quiet arms of night. If your body has shifted since the last chapter, take a moment now to settle once more. Find the shape that feels most restful for you. Perhaps adjust your pillow or allow your legs to soften into stillness. Take a long, slow breath in and exhale, sweet and unhurried, like closing a book with care. When Nilo left the hidden chamber, he moved through the narrow gap above the small door as quietly as he had entered. The library welcomed him back with its familiar hush, a soft, velvety silence that settled in layers across the room. The moonlight tracing the upper beams seemed to glow a little warmer now, as if pleased by his return. Most of his family had already drifted into gentle rest. Curled along their favorite roosting spots, they resembled little clusters of sleeping commas, punctuating the night with peace. Nilo glided toward his usual place, a smooth beam above the central aisle of the library, and perched beside two of his siblings. Their breaths were slow, soft, in perfect rhythm with the quiet of the room. Nilo tucked himself into a tiny curl, wrapping his wings around his body like a blanket. But sleep did not take him immediately. Not tonight. He felt the memory of the hidden chamber still warm within him. The gentle presence, the faded ink on the page, the quiet company of the stranger bat. He did not feel restless, only softly full, the way the moon feels full when it rises above the treetops. A sense of calm curiosity hummed inside him, like a lullaby playing from very far away. He closed his eyes, and the images of the little room fluttered gently across his mind. The wooden desk, the single page left under moonlight, the notebooks stacked patiently, each one holding something tender and unhurried, and the stranger silent, calm, as if she belonged to the room the way sunlight belongs to morning. Nilo breathed in deeply, letting the warmth of that memory settle into him. The library's air felt sweeter, somehow as though the hidden chamber had quietly shared a piece of its stillness with him, and he was bringing it back to his family like a soft candle flame. The flame did not burn, it glowed. A gentle creak rippled through the rafters, a familiar night sound of old wood relaxing into slumber. Nilo's siblings shifted slightly in their sleep, nudging closer to one another, as if drawn by an invisible thread of comfort. One of them, the smallest of the family's younglings, let out a tiny, sleepy chirp, a dreamy sound, like a sigh from a content heart. Nilo's wing brushed softly against the little one in reassurance, a gesture as natural as closing one's eyes at dusk. He realized in that moment that the feeling he had found in the hidden room was the same feeling that lived here among those he loved. A feeling of being held by something gentle and good. He had discovered it in a different shape, but it was the same warmth. Home could live in many places, he thought, in the beams of the library, in the quiet of the hidden room, and perhaps even beyond, out where the Seren River touched moonlight. Let your breath soften now, in and out, like Nilo settling into rest. Feel the warmth of your own safe place, the comfort of being exactly where you need to be. As the night deepened, the library's stillness wrapped itself around its guardians. Through the tall windows, the late moon cast slow-moving clouds across the floor, like pale ships drifting on a quiet sea. The painted ceiling above seemed to dim, as if the stars on the artwork were falling asleep as well, closing their painted eyes until morning. A sense of gentle night magic filled the air, not the bright, sparkling kind, but the soft kind, the kind that helps wings rest, thoughts settle, and dreams arrive without hurry. Just before sleep claimed him, Nilo let his senses stretch one last time. From his beam, he sent out a tiny echo, a small, feather-light call into the dark. It returned to him with the shape of the room, the shelves, the beams, and the comforting heartbeat of the library. Then, softer still, a second echo reached him, not from the hall, but from the direction of the hidden chamber. A faint reply, like a whisper drifting across a dream. Not a word, not a call, just presence. Nilo tucked deeper into himself, held by the feeling of connection to his family, to the hidden room, to the night. He surrendered to rest, and the Lumen Archives, keeper of stories both told and untold, kept watch over them all through the quiet hours before dawn. As you prepare for sleep, imagine curling into your own place of comfort, the way Nilo does now. Imagine a hush spreading gently across your thoughts, like moonlight across the floor. You are safe. You are held. The night will watch over you, too, if your body has grown a little heavier since the last chapter. That's a good sign. Let your next inhale lift gently into your chest, and let your exhale fall, soft and quiet, like a feather resting on a windowsill. The night continues, and so does our story. Morning crept toward Valoria with the soft patience of dawn, not with a sudden burst of light, but with a faint silver glow that slowly softened the edges of the night. Inside the Lumen Archives, the world remained wrapped in slumber. The bats, tucked along rafters and beams, slept soundly, their small bodies curled like tiny, warm leaves. Nilo slept deeply, soothed by the warmth of being near his family. The memory of the hidden chamber lingered in his dreaming, not as a thought, but as a feeling, gentle, glowing, and safe. Below them, the library prepared itself for the day in its own quiet way. The shift was subtle. A slight warmth spread through the air as the first light brushed the tall windows. Dust particles, settled peacefully all night, began to stir, glittering faintly in the early glow, like sleepy stars returning to the sky. And then the sound came, a soft click of a key turning in the lock. The caretakers had arrived. They always entered with reverence, as if the library might still be dreaming. Today was no different. 2 caretakers stepped inside, their footsteps cushioned on the velvet walkway. They moved slowly, voices low, minds still half in the quiet of morning. They began uncovering the tables, lifting the protective cloths with gentle hands, folding them carefully, as if handling something fragile and cherished. The whisper of fabric, the soft wooden groans of chairs being adjusted, the faint scent of morning air mixing with paper and ink. All of it created a morning symphony so delicate that it never disturbed the sleeping guardians above. Nilo remained tucked in his little curl, breathing evenly, his dreams full of quiet light. Beyond the walls of the library, Valoria began to stir as well. Shops unlatched their shutters. The bakery released the first warm scents of bread into the air. Birds hopped along rooftops, singing light, simple songs of morning. The city woke gently, the way a child wakes from a peaceful night, stretching slowly, without rush. It would be many hours before Nilo awoke again, but morning in the library passed in its familiar rhythm. Visitors returned when the doors reopened. Guided once more through the velvet path, they admired the towering shelves, the painted ceiling, the grand architecture. Some leaned in a little closer than the rules allowed, hoping to glimpse between the books, hoping, perhaps, to see a tiny guardian resting there. One child, holding a parent's hand, paused near the center of the room. Their eyes drifted upward, scanning the beams, and for a moment the child smiled softly, as if sensing something small and comforting nearby. Children often sensed what adults forgot how to feel. A trace of magic, a hint of unseen company, a gentle presence in the quiet. Hours passed, and the sun arched across the sky. As afternoon deepened, the library's air grew cool again, a reminder of evening's inevitable return. The caretakers prepared the room for night, placing the protective cloths over the tables, checking the windows and doors, ensuring everything would be ready for the guardian's nightly watch. When the last visitor left, and the caretakers stepped out into the fading daylight, the library sighed, settling into the soft hush of waiting. The key turned once more in the lock, and the world shifted. Day exhaled, night inhaled. It was time again. Up in the rafters, Nilo stirred, not all at once, but with the gentle unfolding of waking. First, a small twitch of his wing, then a stretch, long and slow, like unfolding a ribbon that had been curled overnight. His siblings began to rouse beside him, some blinking sleepily, others chirping tiny morning-night greetings. Nilo felt rested fully and deeply. There was no rush to begin their nightly work. The first minutes after waking were always spent stretching, adjusting wings, and greeting one another with soft sounds and light touches. As Nilo stretched, a warmth bloomed beneath his ribs, a memory of moonlight on old paper and the soft hum of the hidden room. It called to him again, not loudly, not impatiently, just a gentle pull, like the moon tugging the tide. Tonight, he felt he might return, but first family. He cheered a small, affectionate call toward his siblings, nudging the smallest with the tip of his wing, as if saying, "I am here." They nestled close for a moment, a tiny cluster of warmth and presence before preparing for the night. Nilo felt something different inside him now. He didn't have a word for it, but if he had, it might have been something like beginning. Before we pause this chapter, take one more slow breath, letting it sweep through you like the first moment of waking after deep rest. In, hold, and out, as softly as a page turning in a quiet library. Know that, like Nilo, you are gently moving into a new night with no need to hurry. Everything can unfold with ease. Before we continue, allow your breath to soften once more. Let your next inhale be gentle, as if you're breathing in the cool air of a quiet library at night, and let your exhale fall slowly, like settling into a cozy nook with a soft blanket. Your body can grow heavier now. Your thoughts can slow, just as the world of the Lumen archives slows when night begins. As the moon rose and settled into its place above Valoria, the Lumen archives welcomed the beginning of another night. The familiar rhythm unfolded, a flutter of wings, soft chirrs of greeting, and the soundless sweep of tiny shapes gliding into the open air of the great hall. Nilo stretched his wings fully, feeling the strength in them from a night of rest. His family began their patterns circling, weaving, gliding, ready to keep the shelves safe from tiny insects that sought warm hiding spaces. He joined them for a time, moving through the air with gentle precision. Sweep low, turn, rise, drift. The library air felt smooth beneath his wings, and he moved through it with ease, as if the night itself guided him. The shelves stood like tall guardians, their golden details catching glimmers of moonlight. Everything was as it had always been, and yet, for Nilo, something inside felt quietly different. A soft curiosity rested within him, not distracting him from his duties, but glowing gently beneath his thoughts. The hidden chamber had left a light within him, a light that felt like the beginning of a story. When the first round of their nightly work was done, Nilo paused on a familiar beam near the center of the library. His family continued moving around him, but slower now, easing into the comfort of the night. One of the older bats, with fur silvering around the ears from many seasons, landed beside him. She settled gracefully, her wings folding in neat lines. Her name was Leora, a quiet, steady presence in the colony. She had seen many nights, many seasons, many small changes in the library. She carried an air of calm wisdom, like a story that had been told many times, and always softly. Leora looked at Nilo with gentle eyes, as if she sensed something in him, something new. She made a soft sound, an unspoken question, not demanding, just curious. Nilo answered with a small, thoughtful cheer, not an explanation, but an echo of a feeling. Leora tilted her head, and for a moment they remained in quiet companionship. Sometimes that was enough. Let your breath fall into that same quiet companionship, in and out, without effort. Imagine sitting beside someone kind and calm, with no need for words at all. After a few still moments, Leora lifted off again, gliding with the ease of someone who knew every current of air in the library. Nilo watched her go, feeling steadier for the brief exchange. He knew what he wanted to do next, not out of urgency, but out of a soft pull, like the steady tug of tide toward shore. He turned toward the far end of the hall, toward the hidden chamber that had called to him the night before. He flew quietly, so as not to disturb the peace that had settled over the library. The moonlight was softer tonight, but it still found the beams, marking a gentle path toward the small opening above the carved door. Nilo slipped through once again. The hidden chamber welcomed him like an old friend, even though he had only visited once before. The air inside still held the tender hush. He remembered a hush that felt both still and alive. Moonlight traced the same pale circle on the floor, though tonight it seemed slightly larger, as if the moon was leaning a little closer to watch. The notebooks waited in the cabinet, silent but not sleeping, and perched on the curved window ledge was the stranger bat. She turned her head gently toward Nilo as he entered, as if she had known he would come. There was no surprise in her posture, only calm recognition. Nilo perched again on the back of the wooden chair, mirroring his place from the night before. The stranger remained on the window ledge for a few quiet breaths, gazing out into the night. Then she moved soft as a sigh and fluttered down to the desk. She placed herself beside the green notebook, the one titled Evening. With a small, graceful motion, she laid a wingtip over the cover, as if inviting Nilo to open it once more. The gesture held no urgency, just gentle encouragement. Stories, after all, were meant to be returned to. Nilo's tiny heart lifted, not with excitement, but with the same warmth he had felt the sun night before, a warmth like being welcomed back to a favorite spot. He nudged the cover open. The moonlight slid across the page, revealing the second entry written in the same thoughtful hand, with ink now just slightly darker than the page. Though he could not read the words, the feeling rose from the page like a soft fragrance. This entry held a different tone, still gentle, still peaceful, but touched with a hint of longing. Not sorrow, but the kind of longing one feels when watching evening settle and sensing that something meaningful is just beyond the horizon. Nilo breathed it in, letting the emotion settle in him the way moonlight settles on water. Beside him, the stranger watched quietly, not guiding, not explaining, simply sharing the space. For a long moment, they sat in stillness, absorbing the quiet music of the words neither of them could read, but both could somehow feel. Nilo closed the notebook gently, as if placing a calm thought back where it belonged. He felt no need to explore further tonight. Some stories were meant to unfold slowly, chapter by chapter, night by night. He looked at the stranger, and she responded with a small nod, the kind that said, "Yes, this is enough for now." And it was. As you prepare for rest, allow your breath to match the slow closing of that notebook, in and out, like the gentle pause between one page and the next. You do not need to hurry toward the next chapter of your own story either. Night is patient. Rest is patient. You can drift as slowly as you need. Before we rejoin Nilo, take a moment to soften your breath. Let your inhale be calm and effortless, and your exhale slow, warm, and unhurried, as if you're breathing out the weight of the day. You can let your thoughts settle like snowflakes drifting to rest on a quiet windowsill. The night is here, and the story continues gently. Nilo remained in the hidden chamber for a little while longer, allowing the soft feelings from the evening notebook to settle inside him. There was no need to rush, no need to flip through pages quickly or uncover everything at once. Even without reading a single word, he sensed that these notebooks were meant to be felt, not consumed. They were like the sky at dusk, beautiful because of the slow fading of light, not because of how quickly night arrives. The stranger bat calm and composed, as always, lifted her gaze toward the moonlit window once more. It seemed she, too, cherished the quiet. Her presence never pushed, never demanded, never filled the space with noise. She was like silence at its most comforting, the kind that wraps around the heart and says without words, "You can rest here." Nilo tucked the notebook gently back into place, ensuring its corners aligned neatly with the others. As he did, he felt a faint warmth along the spine of the book, almost like a thank you, not from the paper, but from the story inside it. When Nilo left the chamber this time, the air of the great library felt slightly different, not changed in any dramatic way, but subtly softened, as if the hidden room had exhaled and its warmth had reached the hall beyond. The night seemed to hold a deeper hush, the beams glowing with a tender familiarity. The shadows no longer simply dark, but cozy, like blankets folded by gentle hands. His family continued their quiet routines, tidying the space with careful flights, ensuring every corner and shelf remained safe. A few of his siblings flew past him, brushing the air with soft greetings. Nilo joined them for a while, sharing small circles and light swoops, their movements weaving through the library like embroidery threads, stitching patterns into the night. Even as he flew, the hidden room lingered at the edge of his awareness, not calling him back immediately, but settling inside him like a secret he was allowed to keep. And with that secret came a gentle shift. The library no longer felt like one space, with occasional mysteries hidden behind walls. It felt larger, as if new layers had quietly unfurled within it, as if the night itself held chapters, and Nilo had just turned the first page. Let your breath follow that gentle unfolding in, as if your chest is opening a little space for something soft, and out, as if releasing any tension the day left behind. Hours passed in soothing rhythm. The bats completed their work with unspoken coordination, their movements lighter than before, as if the library itself was resting easier tonight. When the moon had climbed high and later began its slow descent, the time for returning to their roosts drew near. Nilo perched beside his youngest sibling again, wrapping a wing lightly around them. They nestled into him immediately, their tiny breaths puffing softly against his shoulder. Above them, the ceiling murals of stars and constellations dimmed in the spur, night's final stretch, as though even the painted sky was ready for rest. Nilo closed his eyes, and the calm of the hidden room flowed through him once more. This time, instead of staying awake to hold the feeling, he allowed it to carry him into sleep, deep and gentle, like floating on a quiet tide. Morning returned once again with the same soft familiarity as before. Light filtered through the windows, touching the shelves with golden warmth. Caretakers entered, their soft footsteps and tender routines awakening the library for another day. Visitors arrived in clusters, their hushed awe filling the air. Some pointed upward, some took quiet photographs, some simply stood in silence, letting the beauty of the place wash over them. The bats remained tucked away, dreaming through the daylight, but Nilo's dreams now carried the faint glow of the hidden room, like a lantern tucked into a cozy corner of his mind, a place he knew he could return to when night returned once more. And the night would return just as the next chapter of a story waits patiently, knowing the reader will come back when the moment is right. As this chapter comes to a close, allow your breath to slow, like Nilo drifting into sleep. Inhale softly and exhale gently, letting the night settle around your thoughts. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to take things slowly. The next pages of your story will wait for you kindly and calmly. Before we begin, let your body loosen. Let gravity do the gentle work of holding you. Inhale through your nose. Slowly exhale through your mouth, as if you're blowing dust from an old book's cover. Now, everything can slow down. Night had settled deep around the Lumen archives. Outside, Valoria was quiet, streets emptied, windows dim, the river moving like a silver thread beneath the moon. Inside, the air was steady and cool. Every sound carried softly the flutter of wings, the tiny whisper of pages breathing in the night, and the slow, contented rustle of rest. Nilo stirred from his light doze. He wasn't fully awake, just drifting at the edge of dream and awareness. A quiet energy moved through him, like a gentle tide touching shore. The hidden room still lingered in his thoughts, its warm silence, its moonlit circle on the floor, and the notebooks waiting patiently for another visitor. But tonight, something felt different. A sound traveled through the library, a sound Nilo had never heard before, soft, slow, and rhythmic. Not the flutter of wings, not the hum of the night, but something else. A voice. It was not near, but it was clear, human, low, gentle. It came from the lower level of the library, from one of the reading rooms that visitors used in the daytime. Nilo tilted his head and listened. Each word rose and fell like waves against stone. He didn't understand the language, but the tone was enough. It was not a voice of intrusion or alarm. It was soft, measured, like a poem being read to the moon. The voice paused often, letting silence fill the space between sentences. Silence that felt intentional, like breaths woven into the words. And even without understanding, Nilo felt something in it he recognized. Stillness, care, wonder. He decided to follow the sound. He descended from his beam, moving carefully through shafts of moonlight. The air was cooler as he glided lower, the kind of cool that holds its own calm breath. Below, the voice continued. Its owner was seated at a table near the far wall. A young woman with a candle glowing beside her notes. She had long hair that fell forward as she spoke, and her eyes moved slowly across a page she was reading aloud to herself. She was alone, and though she should not have been there after hours, her presence felt peaceful, not out of place. Maybe she had lost track of time. Maybe she had needed the quiet. Nilo hovered above her, lightly, keeping to the shadows where his tiny shape would go unnoticed. The words she read flowed into the air like gentle music. He did not know their meaning, but their sound wrapped around him with the same kind of warmth the hidden room had held. The woman's voice rose slightly as she finished a passage, then paused, her eyes closing as she listened to the echo of her own reading. For a moment, the library seemed to listen with her. Even the dust in the air hung still. Let your breath pause there too. Hold the quiet just a moment, and then release it softly, like a sigh. After a while, the woman spoke again, not reading this time. but whispering. Nilo didn't understand the words, but their tone carried a weight, both tender and tired. He recognized it instinctively. It was the sound of someone seeking comfort, but not wanting to be found. The library had heard many such whispers over the centuries. It had kept them safe in its walls, secrets, prayers, hopes spoken into the quiet. Nilo fluttered to a higher beam and watched from above, his tiny heart beating with a strange mix of curiosity and calm. He could feel something shift within the room. The air grew a little warmer. The candle flame danced lightly, as if breathing with her. When she finally closed her book and rested her head on her arms, the library seemed to wrap its silence around her like a blanket. Nilo lingered for a while longer, then returned to his roost. He understood now, in some small way, why the library was alive. It was not the books alone, nor the paintings, nor the centuries of craftsmanship. It was the people who came to breathe and whisper and feel safe within it. The lives that left their soft marks on its air. Nilo curled in on himself, peace settling around him like a cloak. Somewhere below, the woman slept by her book. Above, the bats dozed under arches of painted sky. Between them both, the library kept its watch, a keeper of crusting words and dreams and gentle hearts that needed rest. Let your own breath settle now, in and out. If your mind wanders, let it drift through that quiet library past the sleeping woman, past the resting bats, past the glow of the moon through ancient windows. Everything is still, everything is safe, everything is resting together. Take a moment before we return to Nilo's world. Let your shoulders sink. Let your breath slow to match the rhythm of an old clock in the corner of a quiet room. Inhale gently and release the day completely. The next evening arrived like a soft wave. Outside, Valoria glowed under a hazy sky. The moon was veiled by thin clouds that glimmered faintly, like silk. The river whispered to itself below the hill, and the windows of the Lumen archives shimmered with the same pale patience they always had. Inside, the caretaker's footsteps faded into silence once more. The lock clicked, and night unfurled. The bats stirred awake. A rustle of wings filled the upper air of the library, soundless but alive, like wind moving through parchment. Nilo blinked open his eyes. He stretched, long and deliberate, his wings brushing against the cool air. His siblings were already circling the main hall, tracing slow arcs through moonlight. But something about tonight felt different, not louder, not brighter, but deeper. The memory of the woman's voice still lingered faintly within the library walls. The soft cadence of her reading had left a tone in the air, a vibration that had not yet faded. Nilo could feel it. The library could, too. Every old shelf seemed to hum. Every wooden beam seemed to carry a subtle echo of her whisper. It was as if the words she had read had not vanished, but had settled into the building's bones, becoming part of its music. Nilo began his nightly rounds as usual, flying between the aisles, checking the long rows of books. His movements were slower tonight, thoughtful. He noticed how the light fell differently along the spines of the old volumes. Some looked darker than usual, while others gleamed softly, as though remembering the warmth of her candle. He passed by a long, carved pillar and paused, hovering on the wood's surface. Tiny grains caught the moonlight in silver flecks. It reminded him of the evening notebook, the glow of its faded gold title, the gentle steadiness of the stranger's eyes as she watched him read. Nilo felt drawn once more toward the far end of the hall, toward the hidden chamber. He flew carefully along the upper beams, his wings whispering against the air. When he reached the carved wall that concealed the little doorway, he hovered in the soft glow of the moon. Tonight, the gap above the door seemed slightly wider, as though the library itself had loosened a seam just for him. He slipped through. The hidden room greeted him in silence, but this silence was not empty. It was alive, a soft pulse, a steady breath. The stranger was there again. She perched near the window, bathed in moonlight, watching the night outside. When Nilo entered, she turned her head, and her eyes seemed to brighten in greeting. He landed on the chair's backrest once more. They regarded each other quietly, as though resuming a conversation that had never needed words. Then, with that same calm gesture, the stranger reached toward the cabinet. This time, she didn't indicate the evening notebook. She touched another one. Its cover was deep blue, the color of midnight water, and the word embossed upon it glimmered faintly. Whisper, let your breath slow with that word. Whisper, in and out, soft, light, and full of stillness. Nilo fluttered down onto the desk. The stranger lifted the cover for him. The pages inside carried the same careful handwriting, but the ink was slightly darker, the letters looping with more confidence. If the evening notebook had felt like reflection, Whisper felt like memory. The air above the page shimmered faintly, and Nilo felt a ripple move through him, a quiet wave of soundless story. He couldn't understand words, but he understood feelings. This story was about something lost and found again, not in a dramatic way, but in the gentle way that light returns each dawn, a rediscovery of something once loved, something small, something precious. The stranger's eyes softened as Nilo read through the air. It seemed she remembered too. Perhaps she had once been part of this story, or perhaps all guardians of books, of words, of hearts carried the same kind of memory within them, the kind that never fades, only rests quietly until night reminds it to glow again. A faint breeze entered through the round window. It lifted a corner of one of the notebook's pages, as if the story itself was breathing. Nilo stayed there for a while, letting the rhythm of that unseen heartbeat flow through him. He felt connected not only to the stranger or to the notebooks, but to every story the library had ever held. And somewhere deep inside, he understood that this was what he had been meant to find. Not answers, not explanations, but belonging. He folded his wings gently, closing his eyes for a moment. The hidden chamber glowed softly around him, filled with the warmth of remembered words. And for the first time, Nilo felt what the library must feel. Every night, the peace of keeping something beautiful safe. Let your breath fall in rhythm with that peace now. In and out. The world can wait. For now, there is only stillness, only the soundless hum of comfort that fills quiet places. If your eyes grow heavy, let them close. You are safe here, as Nilo is safe within the night. The story will continue when you wake. Before we continue, let your breath fall into an easy, steady rhythm. Inhale gently, as if drawing in cool night air from an open window, and exhale slowly, like letting go of a long-held thought. Your body can soften now. Your mind can drift. The night is here to hold you. Nilo remained beside the whisper notebook for a long, peaceful stretch of time. Not reading, not in the way humans do, but feeling. The chamber carried a delicate warmth tonight, as if each notebook on the shelf held a small ember of quiet memory. And together they glowed just enough to touch the air with a faint, comforting light. The stranger bat sat nearby, her presence calm and steady, a guardian of the chamber, just as Nilo was a guardian of the larger hall. They were different, yet in this moment, woven into the same gentle hush. After a few minutes, or perhaps many, time flowed differently here. She lifted her wings slightly and glanced toward the round window. Nilo understood. It was time to return to the main library, not because the night was ending, but because rest and rhythm were important. Because even soft discoveries asked for pauses. Because the heart needs time to breathe between pages. Nilo nudged the blue notebook closed. Its cover shimmered faintly, as if acknowledging him. He fluttered back toward the narrow opening. But before slipping through, he looked once more toward the stranger. She remained still, bathed in moonlight. Her eyes offered one gentle message, silent yet unmistakable. Come back when you are ready. Then Nilo returned to the great hall. The library greeted him with its familiar calm. He flew up toward the rafters, where the air was warm and smooth. His siblings were beginning to slow, their nightly work nearly finished. Some perched in their favorite places, others drifted lazily through final loops around the ceiling. Nilo joined them, matching their soft movements. His wings felt lighter tonight, not from rest, but from something deeper. As he glided, he felt the hidden room's warmth still lingering on his fur, like a gentle echo following him home. The library seemed to sense it too. The air hummed with a faint serenity. and even the shadows on the shelves looked softer than before. Nilo perched beside Leora the elder bat, whose wisdom lived in every subtle tilt of her wings. She glanced at him quietly, as if reading the story he carried on his breath. Nilo nudged her lightly, a greeting and perhaps a silent sharing of what he had felt. Leora exhaled, a soft chirr, a sound so calm it felt like a blessing. They rested together for a moment, watching the moonlight paint thin silver brushstrokes across the wooden floor below. The hush of the room deepened. It was the hour of settling, the hour when the library grew very still, holding its breath before dawn. Let your breath match that stillness, in and out, slow, quiet. Nilo tucked himself into a comfortable curl. His siblings gathered closer, a small cluster of warmth beneath beams carved centuries ago. But before sleep fully claimed him, something soft shifted in the air. A ripple, a familiar presence. Nilo opened one eye. Down below, in the reading room where the young woman had spent the night, a faint glow flickered. He peered downward, curious, but not alarmed. The candle she had left behind, long since extinguished, seemed to shimmer faintly, as if the air around it carried the memory of her voice. There was no danger, no intrusion, only a gentle echo, like a dream returning to a familiar place. Nilo watched as the soft glow faded, leaving the reading room in darkness once more. He sensed the library absorbing it the way it had absorbed countless whispers before, and countless whispers yet to come. The building seemed to sigh, long and soft, like settling into deeper sleep, and Nilo felt himself drifting with it. He closed his eyes again. This time the darkness felt warmer, as if the hidden room's secret glow had woven itself into his dreams. He imagined moonlight on the notebook pages, the faint hum of memory, the stranger's steady presence, and the quiet comfort of belonging. Night wrapped around him like a soft blanket. The library held every sound, every breath, every small heartbeat. And when Nilo finally slipped into sleep, he felt as though he was floating, not flying, not falling, just resting, buoyant and safe within the soft cradle of the quietest hours. As you breathe now, let yourself float too, in, as if drifting upward through moonlit air, out, as if settling gently into a warm, familiar roost. You can let your body rest completely. You can let your thoughts soften into dreams. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is demanded. Just like Nilo, you are held by stillness, by quiet, by the soft glow of your own safe night. Before we drift deeper into Nilo's night, take a slow breath in and out. Let your body soften, your thoughts quiet, your senses open just enough to feel the rhythm of the story. When dawn returned to Valoria, light slipped gently through the arched windows of the Lumen archives. Dust motes floated lazily in golden beams, like fragments of dreams reluctant to fade. The caretakers came and went. Visitors arrived and whispered their awe, and all the while, Nilo and his family slept soundly, hidden among the ancient rafters. But beneath the stillness, something subtle had changed. The library itself seemed to hum with a deeper calm, a serenity that stretched from the highest ceiling beams to the cool stone floors below. It was as though the walls had listened to the stories of the hidden chamber and carried their warmth into daylight. The building felt alive, not in a grand or noisy way, but in the quiet, breathing way of something that remembers love. That night, when the world darkened once more, Nilo woke with a different kind of anticipation. The pull toward the hidden room was still there, but softer, now not a call, more a reassurance. He felt no rush to return. Some part of him knew the room would wait, patient as always. So, instead, he lingered among his family, joining them in the simple work of the night. Together, they glided through the halls, their wings whispering across the hush, guarding the books from tiny invaders, keeping every word safe. The rhythm of their flight became a lullaby for the library, for the city beyond, and perhaps even for the stars watching overhead. After a while, Nilo perched on one of the highest beams. From there, he could see everything: the tall doors, the carved railings, the endless rows of books. He watched the moonlight drift across the floor, and for a moment, he imagined the hidden room beneath him, resting quietly in its secret corner. Glowing softly in tune with the night, he thought of the stranger bat, her steady presence, her calm eyes that seemed to know things beyond words. He wondered if she, too, was awake now, guarding her shelves of forgotten notebooks. He liked the thought. It made the vast space of the library feel less lonely, as though somewhere in its great heart, someone else was awake with him. The air shifted slightly. A faint breeze moved through the beams, carrying with it a smell unlike the usual scent of parchment and ink. It was fresh. The rain had come. The softest patter touched the roof above a rhythm that mingled perfectly with the quiet of the library. Nilo closed his eyes, listening. The sound of rain always seemed to slow time, each drop like a heartbeat. Each pause between them a breath of peace. He remembered dimly his parents telling stories about the first nights of spring rain, when the bats would venture beyond the city, following the scent of new blossoms by the river. Perhaps tomorrow, he thought drowsily, they would fly that far again. For now, though, the library was enough. He felt its age and its kindness all around him, the soft weight of its wisdom, the warmth of its wood, the quiet pulse of the stories within its walls. It was a kind of peace that didn't need understanding. It simply was, and Nilo, small as he was part of it. As the rain deepened, the sound became a lullaby. It echoed softly through the hallways, a song without melody, just rhythm ancient and kind. The books seemed to listen too, their pages drinking in the moisture from the air, their bindings creaking faintly like sighs. Even the murals high above seemed to shimmer under the silver light. The painted faces of angels and scholars looked almost alive, as if watching over the little guardians below. Nilo curled into himself again, wings folding gently. The sound of the rain and the whisper of the old wood carried him towards sleep. He dreamed of the hidden chamber of the stranger, of the notebooks, of the gentle hum of words written long ago, but most of all, he dreamed of belonging to a place that loved quiet things. Let yourself drift there too, to a space where everything is soft and safe. Inhale slowly, like drawing in the scent of rain through an open window, and exhale, like releasing the day back into the night. You can rest now. The world outside will wait. The story, too, will wait. Sleep and let the quiet find you. Before you re-enter Nilo's world, let the rhythm of your breathing slow. Inhale softly, as if pulling cool night air through half-open windows, and exhale just as gently, like fog rolling off a quiet riverbank. The story continues, where rain and dreams meet. The storm had deepened overnight. Valoria slept beneath a curtain of sound, a steady patter against tiled roofs, the hum of wind through narrow streets, the soft gurgle of gutters guiding water toward the river. Inside the Lumen archives, the air was cooler, touched with the scent of wet earth and ink. Each raindrop against the high windows sounded like a fingertip tapping glass in rhythm with the night. Nilo half dreamed, half listened. The rain seemed to call to him, not with urgency, but with an invitation, as if the world beyond the library wished to share its story. 2. He opened his eyes slowly. The beams above him glistened faintly. Tiny droplets had slipped through the old cracks in the roof and clung to the wood like small jewels. His siblings still slept, huddled in small, soft clusters. Their breathing blended perfectly with the sound of rain. Nilo stretched his wings once, then twice, and lifted from his perch. The library felt endless tonight, an ocean of shadows and silver light. The air shimmered slightly with the rhythm of rainfall. He flew in slow, drifting arcs through the great hall, listening to the rain echo differently from every beam and wall it touched. It was music, quiet, uneven, alive. Nilo's flight took him to the far windows, where thin streaks of water traced paths down the glass. Outside, the gardens glowed faintly under the lanterns. Every leaf trembled, shining like polished stone. He perched on the frame and watched. It had been so long since he had seen rain up close. The river shimmered in the distance, and for a moment he imagined himself following its silver curve, flying through the mist until dawn broke over the hills. But then a softer sound reached him from within the library, a whisper, not words, not a voice, a presence, the same quiet warmth he had felt in the hidden room. It brushed against his awareness like a gentle wingtip across the surface of calm water. He turned. At the far end of the hall, Faint light glowed under the carved doorway. The hidden chamber was awake. Let your breath follow Nilo's movement now. In, a soft lift of curiosity. Out, a long glide towards stillness. He glided silently down the length of the library, his wings stirring only enough air to ripple the shadows. Each drop of rain above seemed to hush as he passed, as though the entire building was listening. The door was half open. Tonight, a thin sliver of light spilling into the hall. Nilo slipped through without effort. The chamber looked almost the same, but tonight, the moonlight had been replaced by something gentler, a glow from within. The notebooks were faintly illuminated, each one shimmering like a soft lantern. The air itself seemed to breathe light, and there in the middle of the room stood the stranger bat. She hovered just above the desk, wings half spread, as if guiding invisible energy around her. Nilo landed on the edge of the table. The glow pulsed once, then softened. The stranger looked at him. Her eyes reflected the light, deep and steady. And then she spoke, not in words, but in a sound so gentle it might have been a heartbeat. It wasn't language, it was meaning, a thought that filled the air between them like warmth. You are part of this, too. Nilo felt the message bloom inside him, a calm knowing that required no proof, no translation. He looked around. Each notebook vibrated faintly with the rhythm of the rain above, as if responding to the storm's distant voice. For the first time, he understood what these books truly were. Not records, not relics, but echoes, moments of stillness. Memories of people who had once needed the quiet just as he and the stranger did now. The chamber was alive because it remembered them, because the library had listened for centuries and refused to forget the gentle things. The glow dimmed slowly, like embers cooling after a fire. The stranger lowered her wings. Her presence softened again, becoming part of the room's stillness. Nilo bowed his head in quiet gratitude. Then, as the storm began to ease, he turned to leave. But before he slipped through the doorway, the faintest light followed him, a wisp of golden dust, drifting toward the main hall and dissolving into the air like a sigh. The library accepted it. The walls glowed briefly in response, and all around him, the rain began to fade into silence. Take one last slow breath with Nilo. Inhale the peace of endings that promise new beginnings. Exhale any weight still clinging to your thoughts. Everything in this night, the rain, the glow, the silence, exists to remind you you are safe, you are remembered, and even the quietest hearts are never truly alone. Before we return to the quiet heart of the story, find stillness within your own breath. Inhale slowly, imagine cool air sweeping softly across your chest. Exhale gently, as if releasing mist back into the dawn. Let the weight of the day dissolve, then step with Nilo into a softer morning. When the storm finally faded, Valoria awoke under a silver dawn. The air was clear and tender, washed clean by the night's rain. The river gleamed like glass, and the rooftops shimmered with dew. In every corner of the city, water dripped quietly from gutters and leaves, as if the world itself was whispering thank you. Inside the Lumen archives, the hush of morning felt deeper than usual. A hush not of emptiness, but of fulfillment. The library seemed to rest more peacefully now, its walls breathing evenly, its floors cooled by the storm's memory. Nilo slept soundly beneath the high beams. Dreams flowed gently through his mind, not of the hidden chamber, nor of the rain, but of light, a soft, endless light that moved through the library's corridors, touching every shelf, every book, every small heartbeat within. It was not the light of the sun. It was quieter, warmer, the light of understanding. When evening came again, and the first stars appeared above Valoria, Nilo awoke with a calm sense of purpose. The world felt lighter. He joined his family for their nightly rounds, moving gracefully between the arches. Their wings glimmered faintly in the new moonlight. The air smelled faintly of rain-soaked wood and ink. It was the scent of renewal. Leora was the first to notice. She tilted her head slightly as Nilo flew past, a silent recognition that something within him had shifted. Perhaps she saw it in his flight, steadier, softer, guided not just by instinct but by quiet knowing. He didn't speak, none of them did, but something invisible had passed between them, a peace shared without words. Later, as the night deepened, Nilo perched again on the window frame overlooking the city. The streets below glistened faintly, lamps reflecting in puddles like tiny stars fallen to earth. The world looked newly born. He could almost hear it, breathing the sigh of cobblestones, the whisper of river water, the heartbeat of the city beneath sleep. He thought of the hidden chamber again, of the stranger bat, the notebooks glowing softly in the dark. He wondered what she did when the rain came. Did she watch it fall through her small window the way he had tonight? Did she listen to its rhythm and find comfort in its sound? Somehow, he felt sure she did. And in that thought, a quiet understanding filled him that everything alive in the night was connected by the same rhythm. The rain, the river, the stories in the notebooks, his family resting above the beams, even the humans who whispered softly during the day, all of them part of the same gentle thread. Let your breath follow that rhythm now. In and out, in and out, as if the air itself were a bridge between your world and Nilo's. Hours passed quietly. The night unfolded like the slow turning of pages, and somewhere between the whisper of wings and the sigh of wind, Nilo heard something faint, a sound almost hidden beneath the stillness. Not the rain, not a voice, something softer, a hum. It came from below the library floor, From deep within the oldest stone foundations, it pulsed once, then again a low, warm note that resonated through the beams. It felt ancient, steady, alive. Nilo turned toward the sound, his heart calm but alert. The hum was not frightening. It was familiar, as if the very heart of the library was speaking in a voice older than time. He didn't move right away. He simply listened. The vibration wrapped gently around him, a song without melody, made of silence and memory. And in that sound, he recognized something unmistakable, the same tone that filled the hidden chamber, the same feeling that pulsed from the notebooks. Only now, it came not from one room, but from everywhere. The entire library was singing, softly, patiently, as if joining the rhythm of the rain that had blessed its walls. Nilo closed his eyes. The sound moved through him like a slow heartbeat made of light. He felt no need to search anymore, no need to wonder what lay hidden. He understood now that the story was not in one room, nor in one notebook, nor even in one night. It was in him, and always had been. Take one final slow breath. Inhale the sense of belonging that fills Nilo's world. Exhale into the calm that waits for you. In your own quiet place, the night holds its peace for you, too. You are part of its story. You always have been. Before we wander deeper, pause for a moment. Let your breathing return to that slow rhythm of peace. Inhale gently, as though pulling the cool air of a rainy night into your chest. Exhale softly, as though the world itself is sighing through you. The story now moves where dream and memory blend together. The Lumen archive slept, but the sound beneath its walls continued that low, steady hum, rising and falling like waves against ancient stone. It was not loud. It did not disturb. It simply was. Nilo hung in the still air near the top of the grand hall, his small body unmoving, his heart sinking slowly to the rhythm of the sound. Each vibration seemed to echo through him, through the beams, through the books, through the centuries of stories sleeping in the dark. He closed his eyes, and the line between his waking self, his dreaming self began to blur. He was not asleep, not awake, but somewhere in between, a place where thoughts turned to images, and images became song. The hum deepened. The walls of the library shimmered faintly, and the air grew brighter, as if lit from within by soft amber light. The books themselves seemed to breathe their spines, expanding gently, their pages rustling like leaves stirred by invisible wind. And then a sound joined the hum. Voices, not one, but many, layered and delicate, like echoes from different times, speaking together. They were not words Nilo could understand. They were tones, soft and rounded, each carrying the warmth of memory. He realized, with quiet wonder, that these were the voices of the stories themselves. The books were singing, every tale ever written, Every memory ever whispered into these walls was weaving into one continuous sound, the pure music of remembering. It filled him, but did not overwhelm. Instead, it cradled him. He could feel the love of every writer, every reader, every caretaker who had ever walked beneath these ceilings. Each had left a note in the melody. Each had given something of their heart to keep the light of this place alive. And now, the library was giving it back, sharing it with the little guardians who had watched over it for centuries. Let your breath join that harmony now. In, softly. Out, even softer. You are part of the same stillness, the same quiet care. Nilo's mind floated. He saw the hidden chamber, its walls glowing like honey. The stranger bat standing in the center, her wings open wide. Light flowed from the notebooks behind her, streams of gold and silver twining together, rising like smoke and joining the hum above. She turned her gaze toward him. Though she was far below, her eyes were calm, knowing, and without words, she offered him the meaning of what he was hearing. This is what we protect, the thought came. Not pages, not ink, but what they hold, the love, the learning, the gentle hearts who came here to rest. Nilo felt the truth of it vibrate in his chest. He understood now his family were not simply guards of parchment and bindings. They were keepers of emotion, of care, of silence that healed. They were protectors of the feeling that stories leave behind. The hum swelled softly, as if in agreement. Nilo's body grew lighter, as though his very heartbeat was part of the library's song. He felt as though he could stay like this forever, drifting, listening, safe. And in that stillness, he felt something new, a pulse deeper than sound, a light brighter than memory. It came from the very heart of the library, from the stone at its foundation, from the first book ever placed on its shelf, a promise that every word ever spoken in kindness would remain, that even forgotten names, forgotten dreams, would live on somewhere in this quiet symphony of care. The light dimmed slowly, and the hum softened, returning once more to silence. The air cooled again. The books settled into stillness. The night resumed its steady, peaceful breath. Nilo blinked and realized he was hovering still, his wings motionless in the middle of the great hall. The library around him looked the same, and yet not the same. It was awake, alive, smiling in silence. He landed softly on his favorite beam, tucked his wings close, and let the last echoes of the song linger in his chest. He didn't need to understand more. He had heard enough. And as sleep came for him again, it brought no dreams this time, only peace. Take one last slow breath now, in and out. Let that peace fill you, the way the library's song fills the night. You are safe, you are remembered, and even when all grows quiet, your story continues to hum gently in the world. Before we follow Nilo into dawn, take a moment to soften your breath. Inhale gently, as though breathing in the scent of morning rain. Exhale, slowly letting go of everything that no longer needs to stay. The night is lifting. A new light begins to whisper. When Nilo awoke, the air was pale and calm. The library was still half dreaming, its corners filled with silver blue light that came before sunrise. Outside, the city of Valoria stirred quietly, the soft thud of carts, the muted call of a baker opening his doors, the hush of wind brushing through clean, wet streets. It was morning, but it felt different. The library didn't feel tired after its long night. It felt renewed. The hum from deep within the walls had faded, but its warmth lingered. It was like a memory of music no longer heard, but still felt. Nilo blinked slowly, adjusting to the dim light. His siblings were still sleeping soundly, their tiny bodies curled beneath the beams. He stretched his wings, testing the air. It smelled faintly of cedar and rain, and beneath that, a hint of something new. Light. Not sunlight exactly, but a living brightness, flowing through the library like water through stone. It shimmered in the corners, glowed faintly between the books, and traced along the carvings in the old wood. The light felt familiar, as though it belonged to the same voice that had sung through the walls the night before. He listened. No hum, no sound, only the quiet rhythm of life returning to morning. And yet, somewhere deep in his chest, he felt a pulse that was not his own, a steady thrum, gentle and warm, guiding him toward the great window at the far end of the hall. He followed it. The first rays of dawn slipped over the rooftops, touching the stained glass window of the library's eastern wall. The light passed through ruby, gold, and sapphire panes, casting patterns across the marble floor below. For the first time in his life, Nilo saw the full color of morning inside his home. He hovered quietly, watching the light spill across the walls. It was beautiful not in the way moonlight was, soft and secret, but in a way that felt alive, honest, open. It did not hide shadows. It touched them gently, turning them into warmth instead of fear. And Nilo realized something simple, something he had never needed to think before. The night and the day were never enemies. They were the same song, sung in different tones. He was a creature of night, yes, but even he could love the morning. The library loved it too. He could feel it in the air, the walls stretching quietly, the floors soaking up the glow, the shelves gleaming faintly as if smiling. It was as though the building itself was whispering, "We remember." Let your breath match that whisper. In, a slow remembering. Out, a gentle release. Every breath can be both night and morning, both rest and renewal. Nilo perched on the frame of the stained glass window. Below him, the world began to wake the first voices of the Tsar marketplace, the distant toll of the cathedral bell, the chatter of early birds drying their feathers after rain. He gazed at the horizon where mist and sunlight met, and there, just beyond the city's rooftops, the river shimmered. He thought of it often, but had rarely gone so far. The bats usually stayed close to the library. It was their world, their sky, their purpose, but today felt different. Something about the hum from the night before and the warmth of this new light seemed to beckon him outward, not away, but through. The library was part of the world, and the world was part of it. Maybe it was time to see how the two touched. He spread his wings slowly, catching the soft updraft from the window. The air was cool and easy. It felt like invitation. With one deep breath, he leapt. The morning opened around him. Valoria glowed beneath him. Terracotta roofs shining wet with rain. Chimneys breathing pale smoke. Cobblestone streets weaving like quiet rivers through the heart of the city. Nilo glided above it all, weightless, free. He could feel the hum still within him, vibrating softly with every beat of his wings. It was as though the library's song had followed him into the open sky. He was not leaving it behind. He was carrying it with him, and somewhere in the rhythm of flight, he understood that the healing the library gave was not meant to be kept inside its walls. It was meant to be shared, the same peace that filled the hidden chamber, the same warmth that lived in its stories, could live anywhere, in light, in rain, in flight, in hearts. As you listen now, imagine that light touching your own heart. Inhale the brightness of dawn. Exhale the ease of knowing you are part of something vast and kind. Like Nilo, you carry the hum of peace within you. It never leaves. It only waits to be felt. Before we take flight with Nilo, breathe in gently and let it out like a soft wind through open sky. Feel your heartbeat slow, your shoulders loosen, your mind grow light. The night's peace travels with us now into a morning bright and kind. Nilo soared higher above Valoria, the city still wrapped in mist, its rooftops glistening like scattered coins beneath the sun. The air was cool and rich with scents stone warmed by rain. Flowers opening along the river banks. The faint sweetness of bakeries waking for the day. He had never flown so far before. Usually, he and his family stayed close to the Lumen archives, their tiny wings bound to the safety of its shelter. But now, something gentle inside him urged him forward, a thread of light that tugged without force, a quiet knowing that the song of the library did not end at its walls. It flowed outward, like ripples on still water, and he was part of that ripple. He followed the soundless rhythm of the world waking, past the tall towers of the university, past the curling streets of the market square, past the pale arches of the old bridge. Below him, people began to fill the streets, their movements small and careful, their voices rising in the soft hum of morning life. Nilo felt no fear of them. They were another kind of story, each carrying their own hum, their own rhythm. The same gentle pulse he'd felt within the library walls beat here, too, in footsteps, in laughter, in the quiet exchange of greetings between neighbours. He realised, with awe, that perhaps the library had not created its light. Perhaps it had only been holding it, keeping safe the pieces of kindness and wonder that people left behind. And now those pieces were returning to the world. Let your breath follow that realization. In, feel your chest expand softly, as if you are taking in all the light of morning. Out, let go, the way Nilo glides through open air without effort. The river shone ahead, broad and glimmering under the first full light of day. It looked different now, not distant or mysterious, but welcoming. He tilted his wings and descended slowly, riding the soft currents of air above the water. The reflections rippled beneath him, turning his small shadow into a dancing shape of light. He could see the city mirrored there, the bridge, the rooftops, even the great tower of the Lumen Archives. It stood proud and still, bathed in morning glow. From up here, it looked almost like a heart at the center of the world, steady, patient, pulsing with quiet grace. And Nilo realized something simple and beautiful. He had never really left. Everywhere he went, he carried its heartbeat with him. He dipped lower until the tips of his wings brushed the mist above the river. The cool touch sent a shiver of delight through him. Tiny ripples spread where droplets fell. He circled once, then twice, feeling the joy of flight, the perfect stillness that comes when movement and peace become the same thing. For a moment, it felt as if the whole world breathed with him, and then a familiar flutter beside him. He turned. Leora had followed. Her silver-touched wings caught the light like thread. Behind her came two younger bats, their flight playful and free. They had found him, and they too had wanted to see what lay beyond the walls. Nilo cheered softly, a greeting full of warmth. Leora's reply was low and musical, like laughter made of wind. Together, they glided above the water, a small family carried by the same rhythm. No one led, no one followed. They simply moved, together. And in that moment, Nilo understood something even deeper, that peace grows when it is shared. The light inside him brightened, not in a flash, but in a steady glow that filled the morning air like soft gold dust. He saw it drift from his wings, shimmering across the water, touching the city's edge, and though no human would ever notice it, those who walked near the river that morning would later feel a strange calm, a breath of clarity, a whisper of hope, and never know where it came from. But Nilo would know. He smiled in the way bats do, a quiet curve of the heart, and rose higher, his family beside him, their wings writing invisible stories across the dawn. As you listen, imagine yourself gliding there, too, above the quiet river, through the clean morning air, weightless, peaceful, free. Breathe in the light that belongs to you. Exhale the rest. You, too, carry the hum of something gentle, something that never fades. It moves with you wherever you go, and the world is softer because of it. Before we return to the heart of the story, let your breath grow quiet again. Inhale slowly, like taking in the scent of old books warmed by sun. Exhale softly, as though releasing every thought you no longer need. You are here, in the calm between night and morning, where Nilo's journey finds its way home. The sky above Valoria was fully awake now, painted in gold and pearl and pale blue. As Nilo and his family glided over the rooftops, the city beneath them moved like a dream gently stirring. Every street gleamed with reflected light, and every window caught a glint of morning warmth. But Nilo's heart, that tiny, steady rhythm inside his chest, began to pull him back, not away from the world, but toward where everything had begun. The library was waiting. It always was. He turned mid-flight, the others following effortlessly behind him. Their wings caught the wind, and together they soared toward the great tower that rose from the center of Valoria like a patient sentinel. As they approached, the familiar outline of the Lumen Archives came into view, its dark roof glistening with raindrops, its tall windows glowing faintly from the sunlight, now filtering through the clouds. Even from the sky, it looked alive. It was alive. Nilo could almost feel the hum again, deep beneath the stone and wood, welcoming him home. He entered through the high window above the main hall, the same one he'd watched dawn through before. The moment his wings brushed the still air inside, a soft current rippled through the space. The library seemed to exhale a slow, contented breath, as if it had been waiting for him to return. The air shimmered faintly. Dust motes glowed like tiny stars. His siblings scattered to their favorite places, curling into the rafters. Leora perched beside the grand chandelier, her eyes warm with quiet pride. Nilo hovered in the middle of the room, letting the silence embrace him. Something within him pulsed once more, a gentle vibration, not sound, not sight, but feeling. He followed it downward. The floor beneath the central aisle seemed to hum softly beneath his wings. The red carpet, the carved tables, the high wooden shelves, everything vibrated with a subtle unity. And then, from the far corner, he saw it, a faint glow seeping from the hidden doorway. The chamber was awake again. He moved toward it slowly, each beat of his wings softer than the last, until he reached the carved frame and slipped inside. The stranger was waiting, but this time she was not alone. Light surrounded her, streaming gently from the notebooks stacked upon the desk. Each one open, each one alive. Their pages turned themselves slowly, gracefully, as though a wind from another time was moving through the room. The words upon them glowed faintly, and Nilo realized that what he saw now were not ordinary letters. They were echoes, shapes of sound, threads of emotion, moments remembered and rewritten by light itself. The stranger turned to him. Her eyes reflected the golden glow, and for the first time, Nilo understood her completely, not through words, but through presence. The message came not from her mouth, but from the calm warmth that filled the space between them. You carried the light into the world, and because you did, the library breathes easier. Its stories remember joy again. The air brightened. The notebooks hummed softly, their pages fluttering in harmony. From beyond the room, he could feel the vibrations spreading through the floors, the walls, the rafters, and then beyond through every stone and every street of Valoria. The light that had rested in the hidden chamber was returning to the city. The Lumen Archives, after centuries of silence, was singing again. The stranger lifted her wings slightly, as if to say farewell. But there was no sadness in her motion, only peace. Nilo bowed his head. He knew she would remain here, as he would remain above two guardians of the same story, woven together by the song that healed. He turned toward the door, the glow following him out, and as he rose into the great hall, the light spread wider, a golden breath blooming through every corner of the library. It touched the books, the murals, the old piano long forgotten in the corner, and for one brief, beautiful moment, the Lumen Archives looked alive with dawn. Not just a building, but a soul. And Nilo, tiny and humble, felt the world settle into perfect stillness. Everything he loved was safe. Everything he had sought was whole. He returned to his beam, nestled beside his family, and watched as the morning light met the soft glow of the chamber below two halves of one piece, finally joined. He closed his eyes. No hum now, no storm, only quiet, the kind of quiet that holds all things. Breathe with him, just once more. In, soft and deep. Out, long and slow. The journey is almost complete. The story has come home, and peace, gentle, radiant peace, fills every corner of the night and morning alike. You are home, too. Before we close this journey, allow yourself one last deep, quiet breath. Inhale slowly, as if drawing in the soft glow of dawn. Exhale gently, like releasing a sigh that's waited a long time to be heard. Let your body rest. Let your mind drift. The story is ready to rest, too. The sun rose fully over Valoria. The sky unfurled into a wash of amber and gold, and the light that poured through the windows of the Lumen Archives felt gentler than any morning before. The library was still not silent, but breathing in its own way, with the easy rhythm of a heart content. Dust drifted lazily in golden streams of light, curling through the air like notes of an invisible lullaby. Every shelf, every corner, every stair seemed at peace. Nilo rested with his family in the rafters, the warmth of morning touching his fur. He stirred only slightly, a soft movement that felt like gratitude. He could still feel the pulse of the light beneath him, the hum of the stories, the memory of the hidden chamber, the faint echo of voices that had filled the walls. But now, it was no longer something separate from him. It was within him, woven into his tiny heart as surely as the beat of his wings. He dreamed, but his dream was not one of places or people. It was a dream of feeling a long, slow drift through warmth and colour, as if floating through golden air. In that dream, the stranger was there watching from her quiet place within the library's heart. Her wings shimmered faintly in the same gold light that filled his dream. She said nothing. She didn't need to. Between them was an understanding deeper than sound, that some stories are meant to be shared, and some are meant to be kept safe, that the world needs both, and that peace, true peace, is the moment you realize you have become part of the story you were protecting all along. Outside, the city of Valoria lived its gentle rhythm. Children ran through streets still damp from rain. The river glistened, carrying the soft reflection of the library's windows. And within those walls, 1,000 quiet lives of books, of bats, of memories continued their patient dance. The caretakers would open the doors soon, unfolding cloths from tables, dusting the old wood, and greeting the first visitors with smiles. None of them would see Nilo. None of them would hear the faint hum still pulsing softly within the walls, but they would feel it, a calm they couldn't name, a warmth that lingered when they walked through the aisles. And in that feeling, Nilo's story would live. High above, he shifted slightly in his roost. The faintest smile, if bats could smile, touched his stillness. He had seen the world. He had heard the song. He had carried the light home. Now there was only rest, the kind that comes not from exhaustion, but from completion. The library, the city, and the sky beyond moved together in one endless breath, night blending into day, day softening again into night. All was whole, all was enough. Take one last breath with Nilo. Inhale peace, exhale gratitude. You have travelled with him through the quiet heart of healing, through darkness and dawn, through words and stillness. And like him, you can rest now, held gently in the quiet hum of your own story. Everything you are has always been enough. Sleep well, dream softly, and let the library keep watch over you.